Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, I don't find anything funny about this. So we all know about the Holland America Cruise ships sailing through Asia and not being able to go to any ports and everything. And they were finally able to be let off in Cambodia and people started heading home and flying home and everything looked fine until one person wasn't feeling so well, and you know what happened with her. And suddenly they said, okay, stop everybody. We need to check people. And there were a bunch of people that were staying in a hotel waiting for flights to be able to leave. And one of them is actually a cruise ship contract worker by the name of Mr. King. He was a comedian on board the cruise ship. And he said, well, you know what, on the 20th, I have another place I need to be, another job, another place to go to. And he kind of noticed that they were telling him, no, you can't leave. We need to check these things. We need to test you one more time. And he was tested, but the results hadn't come back yet. So he decided, he noticed something, that they were checking people at the doors, at the front doors. You were allowed to leave and get out and walk around the city and take a tour or whatever you wanted to do. Get out and go to a restaurant if you wanted to. You were allowed to leave. But you weren't allowed to leave if you were carrying a suitcase because they didn't want you going to the airport and flying away. So he packed all his stuff into a smaller bag, and instead of going to the front door, he headed out the back door, and the security guard stopped him. They were questioning him, and he basically said, oh, I'm leaving, and he kind of pushed his way through and got out and headed to the airport. Now, when he got to the airport, he noticed also that he had heard that people, if you were in, economy seats and everything, that they were checking more thoroughly. But if you were in the more expensive seats, like business class or first class or premium economy, they weren't testing as, looking as stringent and everything. And so he booked more expensive seats, and he ended up flying back to Seattle. And this is without knowing his results yet from the test he had taken. When he arrived, people were waiting for him because apparently they noticed that he was gone from the hotel, and they checked him, they screened him, and then they allowed him to go home. Now here's the thing, he says, I was tested twice now, and by the time he was tested in Seattle and everything, his other results had come back saying that he's fine. And he says, see, everything's good. I shouldn't have been held there. I was okay. I had a place to go to. I don't know what the big deal is. Well, here's the big deal. Because of you took the chance, not knowing if there was something wrong with you or not, of basically risking every other passenger that was on board that plane, as well as bringing it to the United States. It all turned out well. But what had happened if you had landed in Seattle and the opposite had occurred? All of those people on that plane with you would now have to be interrupted and segregated and all those things because you decided that you were more important than everybody else. You might be a nice guy, but you did one stupid thing. One terribly, terribly stupid thing. I know for a fact that if there was a chance that I could, harm other people in any way or inconvenience a ton of people in any way, I would not do it. But you thought to yourself, this would be a good idea. I'm more important than everybody else, and so I'm going to do it. And for a reward, that new job he had on the 20th, because of everything going on, it was canceled anyway. So that whole leaving early and everything didn't do anything. Not only that, because he left early and wasn't supposed to, Holland America said, that was reckless and we don't need employees like that on our ships. So they canceled his contract and let him go. It basically fired him. Now the good news for you is that Holland America is part of Carnival Corporation, the largest cruise line industry in the world. So I have a feeling you might have a hard time getting onto Princess Cruise Lines as a comedian now, and Carnival Cruise Lines as a comedian now, and P&O Cruise Line. You get my drift. I have a feeling this was not very good for your potential career as a cruise ship comedian. And I'm quite sure your name is being taken notice by other cruise lines saying, yeah, you know what? This guy can't be trusted in an emergency. You know, it's almost like, oh, the alarm bells are going off on the cruise ship, everybody evacuate, and you're the first one in the boat. That's what it looks like now. It's kind of a foolish gesture on your part. And like I said, when you were being interviewed, you said, look, I was cleared twice. Yeah, but you weren't cleared until you flew. Until after you had already flown. That's the key point there. Had you been cleared at the hotel and then flown, different story. At least you would have had a result back saying that you're good. But you didn't. You didn't wait for that test. You snuck out. And now you're going to have to pay the consequences, I am afraid. So what do you guys think? Do you think this was totally selfish? I kind of do. You know, if I go on my next cruise and they tell me something happens and, you know, you got to stay put or something bad will happen, I'm staying put. I'm doing my best to protect others as well. And I think most people would think that way. Well, let me know what you guys think down below. I think it was a foolish gesture and a selfish gesture. In reality, that's how I feel. It's just totally selfish. Well, I hope you appreciate this news story. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. You want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel blogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Till next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.